college students back to this class in Angelology, and also in fallen angels and demonology. Last session we were talking about some of the things that angels do in their ministry. We've had several different looks at them bringing judgment and upon people. And I want to start this session. I believe this is class course number 701. It's a doctorate course. Angels' warnings and angels' reapings. The angelic job of warning people, and then, if the warning is not heeded, bringing about the judgment of God will be especially enforced during the end times in relationship to the Antichrist. Now, during the tribulation period, Antichrist will be in control of the earth. He's empowered by Satan, and God allows all this through limited, where God limits Satan and the Antichrist's power. Notice that they don't have all power, but they have some power and some authority that is given to them by God. Let me begin to explain the above by quoting from Revelation 14. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in their forehead and on their hand, the same shall drink of the wrath, of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. That's in 14:9 through 11. That right there ought to make anyone that reads that knows the destiny, their destiny, if they're not born again, want to get saved immediately from this wrath. During this brief time on his brief time on earth, Antichrist is going to control completely the economic life of everyone. Now, that's in Revelation 13:16 through 18. It says that they have to, he wants all the worship of the world, he wants all the authority in the world, and he also wants to control all the money supply in the world, and he will control people by the money supply. If they don't take a mark of the beast during the tribulation, they won't be able to buy, sell, or have any commerce at all. No one will be able to buy or sell unless he has the mark on his forehead and his hand. So people will have to make a decision whether to identify themselves with God's people and suffer the death as the consequence, or whether to go along with the Antichrist. Now, the death will be by beheading. We found that over in Revelation 20, verse 4. And what about those people that don't want to take the mark and escape? Well, there might be some safe houses that they can escape to, but eventually they'll probably be caught. And the Bible says in Revelation 12, verse 7, they overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives even unto death. So many will, during the tribulation period, will die due to the persecution of the Antichrist. And many Jews will. The great majority will make the wrong choice. They will say, I'm ready, give me the mark. This is for them in the tribulation. The church, now remember this, is already in heaven. The church was taken out at the beginning of the tribulation. But this is for those that are left behind, and those that did not go in the rapture of the church. Then like a dam that is broken, the fury of God will spring forth. Notice how angels are involved. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, Thrust in the sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap. The harvest of the earth is ripe. And he who sat on the cloud thrust in the sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven. He is also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice to him who had the sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angels thrust in the sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. That sickle that is being thrust in there is to pull the evil people out. And the fruit of all that is thrown into the great winepress of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city. And blood came out of the winepress, even up to the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs, which is 200 miles. Revelation 14. That's also during the great battle of Armageddon. That's when that event occurs. What a terrible picture that is coming in judgment. I've been to Megiddo a couple of times, and how Lindsay said, looking out there, we were standing on Megiddo, where Solomon had built his chariot city, and he said, out there's where it's going to happen, right out there in front of us, and that's the Megiddo Valley, from Mount Gilboa back to Megiddo, and for 200 miles long, all the way up from about Haifa, all the way down to Petra. Bosphorus is what they call it. And what a terrible picture that is of God's coming judgment. But one of that is fully deserved. Now we think of angels as blessed, blessing the world and strengthening and guiding us down here. They do, but there's coming a time when angels will be dealing with the wrath of the righteous God. Where do you stand just now? Under the present blessings of angels or under the coming judgment? You know, it's something every person has to think about themselves. And this is the judgment of the tribulation period that's facing every person that will be alive at that time. Of whatever generation they're in, there'll be a tribulation upon the earth to come. Now, I personally believe that our generation is the generation that will go in the rapture of the church. And I say that because of the rebirth of Israel in 1948. I believe that was the beginning of God's prophetic time clock that started again ticking. And then in 67, when the city of Jerusalem was taken back by the Jews, again was another sign. Then in 1980, the moving of the capital from Tel Aviv back down to Jerusalem. All of these things are signs, and I believe Israel is the most important of the signs that we have to look at in this time of the church age, to where we are prophetically with the coming of the Lord and the rapture of the church. I'm also thinking about that in 10 years, this April, it will be the 2000th year of the crucifixion of Jesus and the beginning of the church on Pentecost 2,000 years ago. 2030, I believe, will be the 2000th year of the crucifixion of Jesus. I think something big is going to happen with that over the next 10 years. Maybe we'll have a great revival in the church. We'll have a great revival around the world. But I think it's a very important time. I know we looked at the millennium in 2000 and thought that was about the time the rapture would come, but it didn't, because I think God is still giving grace in the church for lots and lots of people that don't know the Lord yet. But their time is short. The church age's time is short. Babylon. God is not only going to judge individuals during the Great Tribulation, but He's also going to bring judgment on the world systems. 2 Babylons are mentioned in Revelation, one in chapter 17 and one in chapter 18. First to be judged is religious Babylon, the harlot church. I want you to see how an angel was involved in giving John information. He wrote, "And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come here, and I'll show you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters." Now, waters in this case is peoples. And this whore is the false church of the tribulation period. It's the harlot. Whore or harlot is the same word there. Revelation 17:1. So an angel came or gave the apostle a preview of the judgment that is to come on the false religious system. Now, I think the false religious system is made up of a conglomeration of false religions. And I believe that the World Council of Churches is a big part of that, of which many churches and even some of the denominational churches are part of the World Council of Churches. And it will be run by a, who knows, like the Pope or some figure that will run the harlot church of the tribulation period. Even more striking is the angelic involvement with regard to the second or economic of Babylon, described in Revelation 18. "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and it became the habitation of devils, and the old and every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean, hateful bird." Verses 1 and 2. What is remarkable prophecy having to do with the tribulation period? Nowhere else is an angel described quite like that. His mission is to judge economic Babylon. Now, some say that the economic Babylon of Revelation 7 or 18 is the system, the world system of the period of time of the tribulation. The only thing that I have with a problem on that is it says here that it becomes a habitation of devils and every evil, foul spirit. Now, it becomes, I don't believe a system can have a location. I believe that it has to be a city. I believe this Babylon is a city or a place. Now, I believe that it's going to be the literal old Babylon, where Nebuchadnezzar and them ruled, and where all those evil spirits were. Some say it's New York City. Some say it's the United Nations. We don't know for sure, but I believe literally that it could be the old city of Babylon, and of course the city itself could become very, very wealthy with all the oil that's around it, and and the Euphrates River and everything that runs by it. It's in Iraq, and of course, if they got the right leader in Iraq with all the oil and resources they have, they could make that a rich city again. Now, Saddam Hussein had lots of money, but he didn't. He tried to rebuild the old city. He thought he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, and even in the bricks that they formed to build the wall, he put his picture, his image, and on the other part of the brick, Nebuchadnezzar. And they rebuilt a lot of that. But the other thing about Saddam Hussein is he wasted a lot of the money trying to buy military weapons and things like that, and not putting the money back into the government and the people and building the cities and things like that. But that could be a place, and I think too, it says that this city is going to be big in the drug trade, and that many people will have traded with this city, and the merchants that traded with it were so saddened when the city was destroyed and they watched it burn, because no longer will they be able to go to this city and do all the evil and stuff that's in the city. Let's look at an angel in the sun. Artists often picture angels as having a bright countenance. Where did they get that idea? Well, in Revelation 19:17 says, "And I saw an angel standing in the sun." That refers to the brilliance that shone from their face. What a sight that must be. I don't think our eyes would remain on the angel for too long, however, because this one, too, has a work of judgment to execute. The rest of Revelation 19 shows how the remains of a great army provide food for the fowls. And then how at last the beast and the false prophet and those who worship this image are cast in the lake of fire, burning with fire and brimstone. You read the entire book of Revelation for yourself to appreciate all the angels do and will be doing in the end times. Pay special attention to those passages that have not been discussed in this study, such as chapters 4 and chapter 20. So that kind of concludes that part on the book of Revelation. Now there is a lot of angelic things that go on in the book of Revelation. Angels are very involved at the end of the book. Now I want to turn our attention to the ministry of angels. Now in this section, I'm using Dr. Gordon Lindsay's book on the ministry of angels, and his point of view on guardian angels and some of the other angels. The guardian angels, the Bible teaches that a guardian angel watches over each human being that is born into this world. And I truly believe that every human being that's born into the earth has a guardian angel assigned to them. And then when you become born again, that God assigns more angels to you as an heir of salvation. Hebrews 1:14. Yet many people are only vaguely aware of the ministry of angels, perhaps because the subject is so infrequently mentioned in the pulpit. It deserves attention, however, for the Bible has much to say about these angels. The subject is as important as it is fascinating. As far back as the Garden of Eden, angels are mentioned. In Eden, they guarded the way to the tree of life in Genesis 3:24. You remember when they fell, and I've talked about it in other lectures, but God put the guardian angels, or the flaming cherubim angels, at the gate so that Adam and Eve could not get back in and eat of the tree of life. And when divine judgment was about to fall on Sodom and Gomorrah, two angels came to Lot that evening to warn him and his family to escape from the city before its overthrow. I've also talked to you about that they had to literally drag Lot and his daughters and wife out of the city. An angel appeared to Hagar and Ishmael when they were in distress to tell them that God had heard their prayer and that she and her son would not perish in the wilderness in Genesis 21:17 through 19. The angel of God met Jacob at Bethel when he was fleeing from Esau. And at that hour he saw the ladder of the angels ascending and descending. The angel of the Lord appeared to Moses in the wilderness and commissioned him to lead the children out of the land of Egypt. Exodus 3. An angel came to Gideon and told him he was to deliver his people from the oppression of the Midianites. When Elijah was under the juniper tree, an angel appeared provided food for his long journey to Mount Horeb. The angel of the Lord is, in answer to Hezekiah's prayer, slew the great Assyrians that came against Jerusalem in Isaiah 37, about 185,000 of them. In the New Testament, there are many references to angels. The angel Gabriel appeared to Mary, told her she was to be the mother of a Christ child. He also appeared to Zacharias in the temple and informed him that he would be the father of John the Baptist, the forerunner of Christ. An angel opened the prison doors and released the Apostle Peter when he was in chains there in Jerusalem. An angel of the Lord came to Cornelius and told him to send for Peter, who would teach him and his house the way of salvation, in Acts 12. An angel appeared to Paul, who was in the ship, tossed by the storm, and gave him the good news that all on board would be saved. These are just a few of the many references in the Scriptures to the ministry of angels. Let's look at the ministry of the guardian angel. Take heed that you do not despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do not always behold the face of their Father, which is in heaven. According to these words of Jesus, it appears that each child, upon being born into the world, has a guardian angel assigned to him, whose express mission is to watch over him for his good. Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Matthew 18:18-1. This remarkable statement was occasioned when Christ's disciples came to him asking him. Jesus responded by calling a child to him and saying, "Except one be converted and become as a small child, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 18:3. After giving a severe warning concerning any person who would harm a child or lead them astray, Jesus warned the importance of children in God's sight by declaring that they had guardian angels appointed to watch over them. From this we gather that when a child is born into the world, there is an angel delegated by divine command to accompany him through their life. I know you have one, I have one, all of us have one. And the thing that's very interesting is that when you become born again, you get more of them assigned to you. Although the angel's purpose is to protect the child, it is obvious that he has not been granted unlimited authority in this respect, but his protection is confined within certain limits. If this were not so, no angel would die. No child would ever die in infancy. The fact is, the Scriptures teach that if a child of wicked parents show spiritual promise, the Lord may permit it to be taken from him so that he will not grow up in an evil environment that will contaminate it. It is seen in the story of King Jeroboam and his son Abijah, who fell sick. 1 Kings 14. The king told his wife to disguise herself and go to the prophet Ahai, who had announced to Jeroboam that he was to be the king over Israel, and to inquire of whether or not the child would live. But God spoke to the prophet before the woman arrived and revealed to him that judgment was to come upon the wicked house of Jeroboam. You might remember Jeroboam was close to King Solomon, and so was Rehoboam. Rehoboam was then picked by Solomon to take over his kingdom in the southern kingdom. But Jeroboam got upset and thought that they were all evil, and he left and went up into the northern kingdom and took the 10 tribes of Israel with him. And then Jeroboam caused the children of Israel to sin up in Dan by making them a golden calf. Moreover, concerning the son of Abijah, he would die and not live, that he might not see the evil that was to come upon his family. And all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him, for he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave. Because of him there is found some good thing towards the Lord God of Israel and the house of Jeroboam. That's 1 Kings 14:13. And when children die in infancy or in their youth, we are prone to think that it is a great tragedy. But his is not always true. God may foresee circumstances ahead in which it would be far better for the little ones to be removed from the scene and taken by angels to the paradise of God before he would receive proper care and instructions. Does each Christian have a guardian angel? Well, I said, I believe they do. And let's look at a scripture. Psalms 34:7. The angel of the Lord encamps around them that fear him and delivers him. To the above question, the psalmist answers in the directive affirmative. Angels do not watch over God's people in their youth only to neglect and forget them when they could become mature. There are numerous instances in Scripture in which people were given angelic protection. There was the case of Hagar and Ishmael. Because of Ishmael's misconduct, it was necessary that they leave Abraham's house. While in the desert they got lost and were without water. The mother gave up in despair, but the son prayed. And God sent his angel to his rescue. Now, why did he do that? I'll tell you why. Because he was a son of Abraham. And that was his covenant partner. And even though Ishmael will turn out to be an evil one, and even though Ishmael was not the favored, he was still the son of Abraham, and God protected him. The mother's eyes was open, and she saw a well of water nearby. And before the angel departed, he promised that the lad would become the father of great nations. In fact, God gave him 12 nations, and they all were the Arabs that had all the oil. And when Jacob heard that his brother Esau was coming against him with 400 men, he was in a state of panic, fearing that his brother would execute judgment against him for having stolen the blessing. That night the angel of God met him, and Jacob wrestled in prayer through the night in an agony of soul. With the breaking of the dawn, the angel said, "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For the prince hast thou power with God and with man, and hast prevailed. No longer a deceiver, but now prince." And when Esau met Jacob that morning, all he could do was fall to his brother's arms and weep with him. Genesis 33. Later, when Jacob blessed the sons of Joseph, he referred to the guardian angel whom he had said, "Redeem me from all evil." Genesis 48. And Jacob may well have meant that he prayed that the same angel would protect his two grandsons, Ephraim and Manasseh, after he was gone. Well, I'm going to stop here with this session. I thank you. I hope you've learned something here and continue to study on angels. I do believe that we do have guardian angels and many more after we become born again. Thank you, and God bless you.